this law was passed actually in all European countries, as I know. Very similar laws, not exactly the same, but similar law. We have also pretty similar law.
That is true, but the difference is that in the Austrian law it says it is enough if they want to influence economy or politics, whereas in the other laws it says in order to gain money, to have financial advantages for themselves.
Do they have some other NGO organization, do similar problems with this law as you did?
Then we were the first one now. Yeah. But I mean, others are scared. I mean, we had NGO meetings where the others understand the threat and say that we need to do something about it. Yeah.
And what is your current situation?
They're still investigating, and with ever increasing amount. I mean, I've just read yesterday and the day before the new bids that have been given to me. I still have only seen the tip of the iceberg. I have, for example, seen nothing what these agents have found out. They haven't shown that to us. But what I've seen is that they have investigated now everybody who has phoned VGD in the last 2 years. Everybody. They have investigated name, address, and where they live. And they have raided 3 more places. And they have pulled into the police station, so arrested for questioning, about 25 more activists. Also last weekend they have arrested 2, and Monday, Tuesday they have another 3. And not for particular reason, but just pulled them in for questioning. And the questioning is mostly about, do you know this person, do you know that person, who has done this action, who has done that, not criminal action, but who has organized this civil disobedience actions, who told you what to do. They found, for example, a person who has published on his website reports on our activities, and he asked them, who told you to do that? So they want to, don't know, find out who is in charge, and then they to use that. But I mean, basically the state prosecutor has now been set on this case alone. So since 2 months he's doing nothing but investigating this, and people say they are now sort of they are deciding sooner or later whether they will actually bring charges or not. But if they don't, this is very embarrassing to them. So there's likely that they will, and if they will, there will be a big trial. I mean, there are, according to this police documents, there are 27 suspects, 27 people suspected of being part of this criminal thing. But it might be many more, or they might shrink it to only the 10 who were in prison. I don't know, because if they find me not guilty, they would have to pay me for the prison time and repay me all that done to me. So they will very hard try to find me guilty in some way or other. But this is all open. We don't know what will happen. I might end up in prison. There might be a trial in a few months, and I might be put in prison for 5 years. I can't say. Nobody can say, because it's new to everybody, at least. What did the media do? At first, the media were fed by the police, as usual. Yeah, we have smashed a big criminal organization. And so they reported a bit like this, but they didn't report very much because they didn't give them facts. So I've spoken with a lot of journalists since then, and I said this was very odd about this case, because usually if there are so big raids, then they a big press conference, and then they show all this material with which crimes were inflicted, and they say, wow, we have done big favor. They didn't do that. They were quiet. They didn't say anything. Any journalist who asked them what did they actually do, they said nothing. And I asked them, what evidence do you have? They said, ongoing case, we can't speak about it. So the media at first was in favor of the police, but reluctantly, and then ever moved more sympathy towards us. And it was increasing at the end, which increased also the public pressure. But generally, the public as well as the media sympathized. So they didn't manage to get us off. I mean, what the police actually tried to do was get animal welfare groups, so mainstream animal welfare groups, to distance themselves from us, to try a wedge in there and say that they say, yeah, they are radicals, but they didn't manage to do that. And I could feel the public being very supportive, because when I was released, it was unbelievable how many people recognized me on the street and said, yeah, solidarity with you. And this laptop, some person I didn't know bought for me. They bought me a bicycle. They gave me 3 watches, because they read in the papers that the police still has my watch. And they gave me a mobile phone, and they said it's an anonymous one. and actually they also provided me with a flat, saying the police doesn't know this flat, you don't have to pay rent, just go in there when you need it, here's the key. you could tell me maybe it was police who did that. Yeah, so I had immense support by people. I mean, there's literally maybe altogether 10 people who've recognized me on the street and just came to me and gave me money and said, in solidarity. So I had no negative and huge amount of positive replies. I had altogether 600 letters while I was in prison, which is for 100 days, 6 letters a day. But the prosecutor had to read them all before giving them to me, so it took months before I got them. And also he must have still a big bag of them who probably threw out. Because some people told me they had written 7 letters and I only received 1, so 6 of them must be still at the prosecutor's table. So there was big sympathy, and still is, I think. So they will have a hard time. This trial would raise a lot of sympathy with us, I think. So they try. This is why they try very hard to push something like fire on us. But they made it up, and they made it up so badly that it didn't work. But they're still trying to do something like that. My biggest hope is that there's so much public pressure that they change the law. So, and we try to create that pressure. And we try to next year, February, to have pressure on the government to change the law.
Where did you get that Secret Service report?
There is a Secret Service report for published, for the year, the activity of groups threatening national security. This activity report is published on the website of the Interior Ministry every year. So you get it from there. But we have lots of papers who are actually secret, and somebody gave them to us. So there must be sympathizers within police as well, otherwise we wouldn't know that. We've been given emails that were sent around between the Secret Service people. So, and also in the hospital, in the prisons, there were guard wards who were very much sympathizing. So, I mean, this shows to me that they haven't isolated us as they wanted to. For example, the head of the hospital wing was a member of VGT, a paying member of our group. Isn't that funny? He said to me all the time, so if you are a criminal, then I'm funding a criminal organization and I should be put in prison as well. And yes, and there was, I mean, they tried and they did help me in prison. When I could then start to move around, then I got work by a person who was running a magazine in there, and he could take me out of the cell and give me work somewhere. So I had support by sympathetic people inside as well. So yeah, there is sympathize everywhere. And actually, funny also in the documents of the police, in the court documents, it says one problem that this special unit has is there are apparently police officers who support the cause and don't do what they're being told or hand on information. We have also been warned about the house raids, actually. Somebody told us, but I didn't know where it came from, so I didn't take it too seriously. But I mean, what should have changed anyway? Not be at home, it's the only thing. But yeah, we were warned about the police raids. So there's lots of people who sympathize, and maybe we can use that to change this. But there is probably a small group of people who really, really hate us and want to destroy us. And they are very powerful. But there's lots of in the middle who are just being used, and maybe we can turn them around.
Is this a personal grudge, or is something systematical about it?
Now, I mean, it is definitely mostly political, but because I've been sort of the picture of the animal, it's a bit personal as well. But it's mostly political, yeah. I mean, there is this...
Is there some economic interest behind it?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, battery farming is such a big issue because everywhere were battery farms and they're now banned. So they had to change whole, and they hated me for it. And I got a number of death threats, definitely from battery farmers and from their support area. And the hunters, they are traditionally very powerful, and they never had critics, and they can't deal with this. And then if there is groups who criticize them in public and then film them and then say what awful things they do, they can't stomach that. I think the most dangerous group is the hunters. I have also information from within this unit that the hunters are the most influential on prosecuting us. And there's also the furriers, and there's the animal industry, and then there's the Conservative Party who we put so much pressure on.